Hi, I'm Gretchen, and in this video I'm going to show you how to knit a Fair Isle swatch in interactive knitting in DesignaKnit. And while a swatch may not sound that useful, you can make anything rectangular this way, a scarf or a cowl, all kinds of things. So first you're just going to select interactive knitting, and then your program is going to give you the option of browsing a shape file or a stitch pattern. We're not going to do a shaped garment now, so we're going to choose the stitch pattern, my reflection pattern. Then it gives you the option to select your swatch dimensions. You can choose a multiple of the stitches and rows that you have in your design. You don't have to. Of course, you can plan that all ahead. For instance, if you have a motif that you want half of or something. But for my purposes here, I'm going to have it 36 stitches across and 24 rows, and then I'll hit OK. Now this is the screen you get. It says see ready instruction for cast on and set carriage for Fair Isle. So you may not actually want to set your carriage for Fair Isle first, depending on how you're doing your cast on. What you want to do is come down to this little yellow light button, and that is going to give you your first instruction. So it says cast on from the needle's left needle 18 to right needle 18 and place the carriage at right and set your row counter to 0. So you have any freedom you wish at this point to do a cast on in any way you see fit, a waist cast on, ribbing cast on, whatever you like. Until you hit OK, you are not going to move to the next instruction.
Okay, so DesignaKnit has just given me the instruction to cast on from left 18 to right 18. It's also told me to put my carriage in Fair Isle, but I'm going to leave in DesignaKnit because my machine doesn't like to work one color in Fair Isle. For this particular example, I'm just going to do a cone cast on. If you have questions about that, please see my video for how to do a cone cast on. For now, I'm just demonstrating that DesignaKnit will sit and take a coffee break while you're getting your work set up. So I'm going to do my cast on. In this particular case, I'm doing a waist yarn cast on. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit, 10 rows or so to make sure that I have enough to rip out at the end. And then the other thing to remember here is that you have the opportunity to do whatever you like here. You don't have to just do a simple cast on. You could do some kind of ribbing, you could do a scalloped cast on. And in this particular case, I actually want to knit a few rows in my main color yarn, not my waist yarn, before I go into my pattern. Okay, so now I've got my main color yarn and my feeder, and hopefully I've also solved the children screaming in the background problem with a kilo of strawberries as well. So like I said, you can do whatever cast on you like, and then you can do whatever you want before you get your pattern started. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and knit 2 rows of my main color yarn, so I'm not going straight into that color pattern. Again, you can do whatever you like here. The only thing to remember is once you are good and set up and ready to go, you want to make sure that your carriage does go on Fair Isle for a Fair Isle pattern. You want to make sure it's plugged in, and then you also want to make sure you're leaving your carriage on the right as instructed, and that you're setting your row counter to 0.
Okay, so back to your DesignaKnit. Now that I've done my cast on, I left my carriage at the right side of my work, and I set my row counter to 0. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to find my connection to the machine, and then it's going to give me this instruction: set the point cams at left 18 and right 18.
So DesignaKnit has just told me to set my point cams to left 18 and right 18. Your point cams are just these little doohickeys right here, and as you can see, it's numbered at the top. So I'm just going to push this one to left 18, this one to right 18. This is what tells DesignaKnit, tells the carriage where to run the pattern. And that's all you need to do for that step.
So once your point cams are set, you can go ahead and hit the OK on this instruction, and the complete lack of fanfare you're currently witnessing is your machine telling you that you are getting ready to get started. I recommend before you start actually moving your carriage, Do a double check of your tension. Make sure it's set to fair isle. Make sure it is plugged into the silver link. Make sure your color A yarn is in your first feeder, your color B yarn is in your second feeder, and then you can start moving your carriage across. The big thing to remember here is that the entire carriage must clear the point cam before it will recognize that row as being knit. And so if you get shy of the point cam as you're working, it will tell you the carriage is going the wrong way and you will have to troubleshoot.